Let's go. Let's go. Along the way we go. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Dream Chasers Insanity, where I, the dream chaser of dream chasers, share advice that I'm learning on the journey that I'm pursuing for myself. And hopefully, the lessons that I'm able to pick up on can inspire you to not only go way further and way more intense on your journey, but allow you to realize and remember the amount of power that you have to impact and influence the circumstances that you're participating in that we call reality. I'm going to give you a second to look at the board here. This is an episode I'm excited to get into because I know I've showed you this before, but now we're going to get way more into it. And I'm never going to beat the atheist allegations, but I'm a very, very, very spiritual person. I just know, living in America, especially American feudal capitalism, I know there's nothing that can exist without being justified in its existence by creating wealth or manipulating more people to believe capitalism is real. So I do have my issues and grievances with traditional respected religion of the Western world and the imperial empires. But don't let that separate us in this community from the fact that we are willing to learn from anybody, any kind of ancestral story, any kind of lesson that was handed down through the grapevine. We are willing to humble ourselves enough to learn from that. And I believe there's a very, very important Bible story that I'd like all of you, religious or non-religious, to be able to understand, not specifically for how the universe responded to these people involved, but for the importance that comes with truly accepting yourself, committing to your journey, and knowing that once you say, I am, there is no going back. Once you decide, I am, everything that needs to go from who you were needs to go, and everything that is still waiting to come is preparing for you to make room for it, so you can properly appreciate it. And many people don't properly make this transition, sacrificing their old life to pursue their destiny. Many people will sacrifice even a chance at actualizing their dreams or their destiny because it's just so comfortable to exist in the old life. Or the transitional process that happens in between from going to your old life to manifesting a new life, it's so scary and lonely and traumatizing and awakening that the only thing that makes sense is to just go back to what is comfortable and what is convenient. But for some of us, for somebody like myself, you might go too far on that journey, and the only way for you to go is forward, and the only thing for you to do is create the reality that you desire to live in. There is no option to go back because all of those bridges have already burned, and that's how it should be. Because anybody who truly cares for you from your old life into your new life, this process will not obstruct the love and the respect that they have for you. This process only wakes people up who never wanted you to become this, because that would force them to treat you and respect you in a different way, while also forcing them to decide how connected they are to their old life that kept the both of you or all of you back there. Consequently, forcing them to address this version of them may not be compatible with you. And now, to continue to cultivate this version of you, you need other people who are also in this light or pursuing this journey to make sure that you don't fall back and relapse into the old life that wasn't serving you properly. So let's break it down. Get it sexy. Get it sexy. Get easy. I'm playing. Again, I say surrender to your spiritual calling because it's not the fact that you don't know what your spiritual calling is or it is apart from you. The fact is, it sits inside of you, and the only people that can truly access or even be aware of their spiritual calling are people who have sacrificed the validation of the outside world to truly get to know and understand and love who they are on the inside. Knowing the world will only receive the parts of you on the inside at which they are ready to receive it. But it's your responsibility to cultivate who you are, because the more you're doing that, the more in love, the more aware you get of yourself and your journey, the better clarity you have understanding when it's time to go through these processes to get to where you're trying to go and to not have to project responsibility over healing your trauma or growing on your journey onto anything else, because projecting responsibility takes the power out of your hand and puts it in somebody else's hand behind a bunch of validation, which will have you chasing the validation of other people more times, people who don't understand you or don't care to see you get through here, keeping you here, thinking that you're changing because now you have ops. Now you have an oppositional force that makes you feel like you're working against something. But again, side note, if you're motivated by people who don't love you rather than inspired by what you love and supported by people who love you, whose life are you living? Are you living a life for yourself, authentic to who you are at your pace, expressing that? Or are you living a life that is waiting to prove to other people who, again, don't like you and don't respect you, don't want to see you get here? Are you trying to prove that you are right to them? When the one thing that you can do to gain some even more clarity onto the future that you're creating for yourself, letting them go and deal with the bullshit that they're entertaining right now. Because if it means enough to them, and I'm telling you, I'm not just saying just ghost people and drop people out of nowhere. I'm saying if it means enough to them beyond a confrontation where you guys have decided you're on opposite sides of the spectrum here, if it means enough to them, they will find a reason, something that connects to them emotionally on the inside to reconnect with you, to still be there for you. People who want the best for you, more times than not, want the best for themselves, or they want the best for what they would do in your shoes, not knowing who you truly are. Unless you've been vulnerable enough to express that side to them, comfortable enough to express that side to them, and you've seen that there is support and acknowledgement for that version of you. And I guess I have to say version because so few people are actually being themselves in this world. That's the type of shit that makes the ancestors mad, bro. Like, these people went through slavery. These people went through endless wars. These people went through famine. These people went through all types of lack. Shit stolen from them, corrupted, commodified, all types of bullshit that we had to go through. And the ancestors are seeing you afraid to chase your dreams because you're afraid of what people from your high school or your old life are going to think. You're afraid to chase your dreams because you're afraid, you think that the bus has already left and nobody's going to get popping no more after that. You're afraid to be yourself because the people that are supposed to love you in this life actually don't, because they're holding you to an expectation of who you're supposed to be rather than allowing you be who you are, letting that come back around to becoming who you need to be. And I'm telling you, if people who are responsible for caring for you, like parents and siblings and immediate family, if they have if they have crafted up a house of cards that is your identity, and now they're disappointed that you're changing, like, you have to really question these people. But again, this is not a journey that most people will pursue. This truly living authentic to self, taking back that personal power, most people will not choose this because it's, again, convenient and comfortable putting your responsibility for your life into other people's hands and then just being able to get into groups with other people who hate themselves and hate their lives, talking about people who are actually pursuing what they want to pursue despite the shit talkers like said people I just mentioned. You realize after a certain point that the only thing anybody's ever talking about are the people who are actually doing stuff. And more times than not, the people that are just talking have given up on doing stuff or feel like they cannot do stuff already. So now they need to project it onto you to stop making them uncomfortable for not taking responsibility over their own situation. That fear of being lonely, that fear of being... Personally, I believe the fear of being invalidated should be worse, scarier to you, especially invalidated in your authenticity, should be scarier to you than the fear of being lonely. Because at least being lonely gives you an opportunity to see how much you love yourself. And beyond that, it allows you to set the standard as to how other people are going to respect that complete version of yourself that you have crafted. Because people can't respect you based on an identity that people value in society or how much money you have. People respect you based on how they see you respect yourself. Forgive me, how they see you respect yourself and how you allow them to disrespect you. Or at least how you show them how important those boundaries are to you, if they are at all. I like that. I like that a lot. And I had to split this into those who are making it above this line of lifestyle transformation. That's the ego death and the soul rebirth. And if you know you are not this body, if you know you are an infinite soul that was so tired of being nothing, that it came into this reality and became something, and that something is human life. That's when you realize it doesn't matter how many masks you wear in this life. The soul behind the human is who you are. And it's your responsibility to understand that enough to find out how to express that and how this world can complement that. Whether it's by changing environment, changing circumstances, changing community, or changing culture, or contributing to all three. So this is above the line because this is not drowning beneath the metamorphosis of the human being. And mind you, this is not just, you don't just go from old life, one ego death to the new life. You're going from your old life and you're ego deathing every single attachment that you have. Like a snake sheds its skin, you have to be able to confront each of your attachments, especially the ones that you depend on, and question whether this cycle of dependence is actually reciprocating the energy that you're putting in or has plans to guide you into a life that respects and cares for you. Because you don't have problems with the people that love you. You address and you face problems with the people who love you. Not competing. People who hate you compete with you. Don't give you a chance to be okay with who you are and accepted for who you are. Friendly competition, I understand, but people who love you collaborate, compensate, compliment, everything about supporting you while allowing you to have autonomy over your full self and letting the natural process of growth on both of your journeys or all of your journeys align you together rather than forcing people into your journey, hoping that you can cut off all the hedges that are growing too fast on them so they can stay perfectly fit in your experience, especially if they weren't meant to be there. And then the animosity starts to develop because I can't be myself, you can't be yourself, and we're clashing, holding each other back, but nobody is pursuing the life that they're supposed to pursue, maybe meeting better friends and having better people complimenting them in their life. So the petty things that we argue about every day doesn't mean anything anymore because our journeys were just obstructing each other or at least our union is obstructing each other from pursuing the truth of our journeys, which will fulfill us in ways that an unhealthy, toxic, unfulfilling relationship just cannot. 11:11 right now. But again, for the people who don't make it through these ego deaths, or it's just the turbulence and the tower moments are way too much, here's a couple of examples as to what people end up going through. Individually, if people are going through this themselves, it's either like, this is such a turbulent process, a lot of people get into psychosis, or it's just so overwhelming, the entirety of the universe and reality that you're not even being shown is just slamming itself down on you, asking you, hey, you need to know the real reality and you need to know your real self. Two things that you've been running away from to truly get to this other side. Because you won't get here if you don't accept both of those things in the fullness of what they are. If you don't accept your reality and who you are, you're literally trying to walk on top of water as a ghost. No sense, no compatibility. Doesn't make doesn't make any sense. I probably could have had a better analogy for that, but let's just say no sense at all. And actually, I want to add in here, most people, I truly believe, actually, that just expanded into way more complex thought. There's an intention behind American children not being able to read or write at the levels they're supposed to. And literally every person, like every grade level since COVID, getting held back like 2 or 3 years, but not like they're just getting passed on. But these kids in the brain are years behind development wise. And then we have people proposing a Project 2025 that has the full intention of defunding, like gutting the Department of Education. Defunding even more public access to resources that can help create an educated working class or an educated group of human beings. So I hate saying working class. We're not enslaved to work. So the reason why I say all of that is because, and again, capitalism and individualism, just, having a baby, creating all the social laws and systems that we live by, you're going to have so many people who don't have the means to communicate or understand who they are or their emotions. You're going to have people who are angry, people who are starving, people who are willing to do anything, not just for $1, but to meet their needs. And the only person that they can take from is going to be their neighbor. And I'm telling you, it's going to get very, very anxiety inducing in this country if nobody wants to help the homeless people, if nobody wants to help the starving, if nobody wants to help the people who don't have resources. If the whole goal is to just criminalize the bottom 50% of people so we can justify enslaving them. Like, I would like you to think about these things. And the whole reason I mentioned all of that, any of that, to be honest, is because, again, no sense of community, because every sense of community has to be valid underneath the shadow government that is Christian nationalism. But again, what I'm truly trying to address is that this many people with lack of education, lack of mental health resources, lack of support from the government to protect working people from becoming slaves to corporations under capitalism, all of that overwhelm in the heart, in the mind, in the soul is going to send people into psychosis. And the cherry on top is that the whole entire history they've been given the past 500, probably the past 2,000 years, is a lie meant to justify and inspire worldly colonization and the justification of white supremacist imperialism in a system that has always rejected it. But enough people have been cut off from their lineage to not truly feel the same pain and rage their ancestors have felt, to understand that nobody has ever accepted these systems that are ruling over us today, and there's a reason why so many of us are enslaved and have no say or power to changing the systems at hand. But the worst people in society never take any accountability and somehow are divinely protected. I'm sorry, the only person that can divinely protect you under capitalism and pseudo-spirituality, false religion, is the devil. That's the point I had to get to. The only God who can let you be a ruler of a society, like a society, not Earth. This is not a prison planet. The only divine force that can let you enact what has been enacted over the past 2,000 years on this planet, the only person that allows some shit like that to happen is the devil. And again, let me add this point right here. Why would a God who creates man to be like the earth? I mean, this looks like the earth to me. Why would those people be the most punishable people on planet Earth when they are actually accommodated and literally grown and harvested by the natural environment? But the people who rule everything are literally the most alien human beings to this planet and the most anti-humanity in human history. I hope that it just confuses you enough to break these binds that is holding your mind in place so you can even further and even better understand these stories that I'm talking about. Even better understand. But again, it almost seems like I'm a character of a game and I'm working against the literal framework of the game that we're all playing, trying to tell you guys, stop focusing on the characters inside the game, focus on the person who's holding the controller, moving the character. Because they don't want you to know that you are holding the controller. They want you to truly believe you are the character in the game. And you are at the mercy of what this character can do in this game. You aren't you who can decide whether or not you even fucking play the game. You can decide what game you even play. You can decide how long you even stay on the game and how long before you have to go back out in nature, because that's stripping your soul out. Personal power, personal power, personal power. And also, if you want to do some more research, just ask how much through colonization has not just Christian nationalism, but how much has this evangelical, Eurocentric Christianity been used to justify the oppression of so many people who have done nothing to this earth but exist and care for it beyond or before colonialism and imperialism? Just ask yourself that. How has religion been used, and how is it still being used today by certain groups and people to justify the atrocities that are going on? Yet those same people have nothing to say to actually care for, that can be applied to this world today, that can care for the people that are already suffering. And I guess I'll finish off that little rant right there with religion is your spiritual practice. Spirituality is your lifestyle. Your rituals, your meaning, your purpose, your basic foundational sense of awareness of the reality is your religion. Your lifestyle, the respect and the care that you have for these teachings, for this understanding, this higher knowledge, that is your spirituality. We have rejected spirituality so we can enslave people to religion. Because if you enslave people to religion, you can decide what their meaning is, what their purpose is, what their understanding is, and how they reject themselves, forcing them to rely on the external validation that is the God that is manufactured by a group of people who wants to enslave and exploit vulnerable people who have no connection to their own spirituality, which is only connected to by going all the way in and tapping into the depths and realizing that once you've hit rock bottom in here, the only thing to do is share all that light that you've found and you've amassed in here with the rest of the world outside of you. And your spirituality is your choice, your decision to respect that knowledge, that awareness, and be the light that you seek in this world, emitting it from the depths of who you are. Tell me that any kind of spiritual practice in the West speaks like that. Any religion, popular religion, especially popular religions in imperialist nations, tell me how many of them think like this. It almost seems like if we can justify that those people over there that are in the way of what we want are from the devil, and we tell everybody that hell is the scariest thing on planet Earth and you better not fuck up or else you'll go to hell. Seems real easy to justify something behind a perfect God that can never be questioned. Especially to people who believe that they entered this reality with original sin, which is basically like saying, hey, you were born with $100,000 of debt, but you can't work any jobs that make more than $1 an hour, and you have to pay this off by the end of your life or you're going to hell. And you only get to live until 18 years old. But if you want to cop out of that, you can join our community, which will restrict you in being an authentic human being, and we will, give you some allowances to, be yourself a little bit underneath our control, though. This is why I'm asking you guys to think, question stuff, learn stuff, contribute your own opinion to things, bro. Because the ancestors would die again and again and again to be in the position that you're in, the position that I'm in, and to have access to the resources that we do right now to truly build a life authentic to humanity and to love and to the juice that fuels this universe that I truly believe is unconditional love. And we took a minute going into psychosis and how this society is almost manufacturing slaves and people going into psychosis. But those people who have that broken sense of reality that they cannot put back together themselves, or they don't feel worthy enough of putting together themselves, they're going to be enmeshed into a cult. Whatever cult is aware enough to manipulate and to utilize their resources for the cult better than this person can utilize their own power and skills and resources to better their own life. Leading people into religious cults, people into jobs that aren't serving them, but they're providing them enough to keep sustaining this not fully choosing the new life. And then you have the people that just truly don't make it. The two options I believe are going to be most available and most chosen in the next 10 to 15 years in America, but I think definitely way quicker than that with the amount of social justice programs that are about to get just ripped from hell. A lot of people are going to choose it's too overwhelming to even go any direction at all. So they'll just call it quits. There's no support for who you are. There's no awareness. Nobody sees you. Nobody loves you. Nobody validates you. It seems like everything is going on in the world and there's nothing going on in my life. The people that were supposed to be here for me are not here for me. And now we live in a world that victims get blamed for literally everything because we don't want to address the fact we're being ruled by abusers. And holding them accountable would actually do a lot more for society than victim blaming every single person that walks into a cycle of abuse. There's literally no future for Gen Z and Gen Alpha because boomers stole all of it to sell illusions to Gen X and millennials that now we're realizing have just been hoarded up by the boomers because they were so afraid of going through another Great Depression that they created the next Great Depression for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. The police are getting sicked out on college students who are being taught what it's like to be an activist. And then when they start being an activist, they start becoming victims to the slave catch, to the police force from the state. The same state that's supposed to protect them. And mind you, the government, the professors and the officials at these university campuses allowed the police and people who aren't registered at the schools to attack students who are learning how to be better, more inclusive members of society. And then you sit there and you put all that in your head and then you realize, okay, well, maybe I've never had a intimate romantic relationship. Maybe I've never had real friends. Maybe I've never had a job that pays me enough to not worry about fucking showing up 5 days a week, 50 to 60 hours a week, giving my whole heart and soul to something that doesn't develop my skills and literally doesn't allow me to even put food on the table properly. There's just so many things that I truly believe people are going to go through. And you and I've had issues speaking about with mental health professionals about this, but there's a certain point in a country where you have to realize that the government protects the people from being abused by the powerful, and the government doesn't sell the human rights of the people to be funded by the powerful. Okay? And what I truly believe in is that all these mental health professionals and these like spiritual girlies, the Western spiritual girlies, should be annoying. What they be saying like, you're so negative, you're so negative. You never take anything like you want to bring everything down and low vibrations, and that energy is not going to get you your manifestations. And I'm trying to tell you, or a therapist wanting to like speak through your past day in, day in, day in, day out. And it's like, dude, if you aren't gonna help me like access the resources that are gonna pull me into my future, why are you trying to make me bypass the reality that I'm going through? And if we collectively want to address the reality we're going through, we have to see how social welfare programs are getting destroyed by a certain group of people in government. Education is getting destroyed by a certain group of people in government. Our whole entire political system has been infiltrated and is being owned by a foreign government. Our votes don't matter. Like, you have to sit here and really think with me what kind of world, if any, was left for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And then you question why we're the kids that don't just roll over and take it. Because what I'm describing, the self-deletion, that's literally the only way we can roll over and take it right now, because you don't even give us the resources to even be degenerates. Like it's too expensive to even go outside. So now you have people rotting inside their house, getting, again, victim blamed for rotting inside their house, victim blamed for not being able to have proper supports from the overarching powers that are somehow pro-human in the freest country on planet Earth. What do you expect them to do? Go to fight a war for a country that they know is killing black and brown kids for literally no reason? Running a famine genocide. Literally torturing. Concentration camps have been exposed. Like, you have to sit here and just realize if what's going on in the world is not overwhelming you, you are a sociopath. And of course, I know I'm a highly empathetic person, but if what is going on in the world does not, if there is somehow something else you can focus on that will take your attention off what's going on in this greater world and seeing that it is all connected. Like, what the fuck are you, bro? But an NPC. Bystander. But there's a reason why I needed to include this relapsing to your old ways in a different color than any of these other sad consequences for not fully accepting and pursuing that ego death. It's relapsing to your old ways. But again, this is going to fall under the same exact category that self-deletion comes into, because when you're going on this journey, there's only one way in, one way out. That's how you go in. This is how you come out. There is no, I'm a little too, there is none. This life is dead. This is literally like sending you going through on the tram or whatever, the underground railroad to your new life, and then deciding that you're scared, you want to go back to your master, and realizing that the whole land that was your last plantation that you just escaped from, the whole thing has been burned to the ground. Just so you could get here. But when you give up hope that this is more important than going back to this, you will self-delete yourself in a much slower, expanded process, attempting to go back and recreate a life, literally put your new life energy into an old life that was never serving you. Meaning, regardless, even if you do live going back to your old life, you're aware now of how much more energy you're inputting for the crumbs that you get in return. Because this old life doesn't respect you as deeply as you could respect the fullness of you in a new life with new awareness in that same body. Because the only reason people die with regrets in this life is because they forgot that they could have broken the same mask they wore for society 800 times and had a better experience than the person who lived with a perfectly unbroken mask. Because at least you learn and you take something outside of success and victory and ease when you allow your mask to break and you realize that it's not the end of the world. It's just the end of who you thought you were, allowing you to now quickly start to imagine and manifest who you truly are, utilizing the newfound power that sits within you. But that relapsing sends us back to this Bible story that I find is pretty interesting, of Sodom and Gomorrah, God basically sending angels down to this family saying, hey, this is just degeneracy going on here. We're going to light this thing up, and you're some of the good guys, so we're going to let you guys walk out of there. And as this guy's walking with his family, they're leaving the city, the wife turns back around and gets turned into salt. Mind you, I have personal grievances with this story because I believe the Bible that we know it as is super, hyper patriarchal, not only in the sense that it praises and only allows men to have power, but almost every divine issue or very significant divine issues that people have done are women doing something against God, and then the woman getting just brutally punished, or everybody getting punished. And it almost seems like it's subconsciously forcing us to blame the woman for everything, when it was the man who was given the sign or the direction. So again, if you want more on what my spiritual beliefs are, go watch my God is a Black Woman video. Not against you believing what you want to believe, but I'm just using the circumstances of this story to make sense. That sign, when, and instead of saying God, we're going to say the universe. When the universe is asking you to pursue a life authentic to who you really are, when the universe says, you know what, this is what you need, and to get there, I got to take all this other shit away. Because you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can only pick one, because I want you to give all of you to it. You going back, if you don't delete, if you don't delete yourself going back here, knowing that you're meant for more, knowing that you're bigger than these circumstances, now you can't fit here because it's claustrophobic now. What you're truly sacrificing, if not yourself, is your new life, is all of your dreams, and is your destiny. All for the convenience or the comfort that comes with not taking responsibility for your life and the life that you choose to live and becoming the person that you truly desire to be. Now, I'm not Jewish, and this has nothing to do with Jewish people, and I'm not an anti-Semite. Please do not ever let any of these videos make you feel like I'm an anti-Semite or I'm like an anti-Christian or anything. I love people who can love themselves enough to not be attached to needing to rip the legs off other people to gain their self-value, or people who don't need to convince other people to join their cult mind religions, because they know that in a free will reality, people should choose, and it can be inspired to choose the religion that aligns with their lifestyle, rather than being forced into a religion that cuts them off from living an authentic lifestyle. But again, it may be scary, for especially for those of us who haven't had a lot of people or a lot of success stories, people who are truly living a life, not only a successful life, but a real structured life that can also be fun and enjoyable. So I just want to add a couple of things here that you could focus on, or at least imagine in your mind as you begin to trek or pursue your new life, that will give you an opportunity to see, you know what? Maybe the life that I'm living right now, it doesn't align with who I truly am. Maybe the life that I'm living right now is very far apart from the life that I truly desire to be living in this reality. And being able to identify these aspects of my life now creates a starting point and an end point, or at least a milestone that I can put the focus of my life and my energy and my attention to close this gap and have another journey, not just of self-growth, but another journey of full of lessons, full of experiences that I can learn from and take for me into the new form, the new version of me, the new reality that I'm entering. Real simple things here. And I have a whole self-concept course that I got coming out soon, if it's not out already. Mind, body, soul. That's the first rule of 3. Is your mind right? Are the systems that you're perceiving this reality through, are they sound? Are they structured? Is your body right? Are you able to care for this, to support this functioning system that allows you to engage with this reality? Can you support this? Next is your soul. Again, soul, lifestyle, spirituality. That is the way that your mind and your body functioning. Is that properly becoming aware of the soul that sits within you? And is it expressing that soul through you? That's why, again, I call it the rule of 3. Those 3 have to work in union for the body, the human complex, to work properly. And then on a little bit of from a personal level to a more, I don't want to call it existential, but in the eyes of the individual, a more existential, a kind of a more expanded version of this rule of 3, I need you to make sure that you have your family, your soul tribe, or the relationships in your life reflect respect and appreciation for that initial mind, body, soul complex. The business that you're involved in, the career that you're pursuing, the lifestyle, the education that comes with it, is that in alignment with expressing who you are through this? And let me not skip. Is this family helping you reinforce the self-concept that you are becoming aware of the self in your life? And the final thing, do you have a tribe that reinforces the lifestyle that you're living, your awareness of this mind or this human soul complex, and your ability to have those rituals and practices and the skills and the habits, are those reinforced by the tribe that you live in? Or do we need to move into a different environment, to a different community, into a different consciousness to truly access the fullness of what all these things are and how they all complement each other? I couldn't be more thankful, to be honest, that I have such amazing people joining me on this journey, on this platform. The ancestors would be proud of you for staying this long. I know everyone's attention span's like 2.5 seconds long, and the fact that this video is probably like 45 minutes, I couldn't be more thankful. Again, if you'd like to support the channel, feel free to leave a like, a comment, subscribe. Send it to somebody that you love so they can share the love that we're cultivating here. And go ahead and check out Cosmic Nomads Rebel Souls.shop. The site should be open right now, and if it is, I'd want you to get not just 1, not just 2, but everything that's in the shop, because it's all dope gear. It feels super good, and that's how you support a small black business and a big black man. But thank you so much for being here. I couldn't be more thankful. And more episodes coming out every week. Just know it's true love that I got. Anybody that takes the time out of their day, that sacrifices any bit of attention and focus to listen to the kind of yap that I got to give, you have my heart. Till we meet again. Thank you.